7 Days of Sunny June, Book 2 by Blue Bastard. Sunday AM. Stories in Your Eyes. Chapter 13. Rain. That was the only way to describe Sunset's surroundings. The rain was so dense that all around she could see nothing but a solid curtain of precipitation. It was similar to a constant stream of gray barreling down against the world, sucking all life and color away. Yet through the rain it appeared to hit her, she felt neither cold nor wet, since he wasn't there at all, wherever there was to begin with. No other option, she walked forward, taking each step eagerly into the unknown. Gradually she picked up her pace, and with it shapes began to materialize around her. Big, blocky shapes that turned into dark outlines of buildings, or specifically the back of buildings. Hey, I think I know this place, realized Sunset. The architect suggested she was, for some reason, in a back alley at Character Lot. Why she would be in one of them in the middle of a downpour was anybody's guess. But a part of her subconscious nagged at her mind. This was a specific alleyway. She'd known this place once long ago. Why do I feel this way, though? This place looks like the southern district of town. There's been any time here unless... All this time, Sunset seen the light in the distance, which she followed. She had been on Earth long enough she probably would have heard and heeded the warning not to go into the light. But her subconscious mind, she was a pony. The pony's light meant magic and secure. And as she approached, the light turned out to be a lonely lamp, its bright aura unyielding in the hard rain as the only source of light in the area. When it was building, it was attached to it made Sunset wonder what was going on, as she read the sign out loud. Character Orphanage. All stories had a beginning, and all points had some place it came from. With Sunset Shimmer, she only knew her story began on the very steps in front of her. She wondered if it was a night like this she had been abandoned here. Years to scoff at how cliche it all sounded quickly suppressed. When the sun shot of rapid hoofsteps rattling against the wet cobblestones caught her attention just then, brought to her hide behind a convenient crate opposite the orphanage. Peeking over the crate, Sunset watched as a lone pony shape pulled away from the shadows, its features covered with a heavy cloak, but still obviously a mare. Looking around to see if any pony was watching, the mare seemed placated enough to reach around and to pull off her pack. She did so very carefully, and Sunset soon realized that the pony's pack was in fact a filly. One with a shock of red and yellow hair framing like a maize-colored horn. The mare whispered something to the foal, too quiet for Sunset to hear. She got a glimpse of the mare's face, though. Features had an incredible amount of love, rivaled only by the sadness in her eyes. Sunset felt a deep connection to the mare in the cloak, and her longed to bow to her, to hold her and be with her. Just then a crack of thunder echoed around them, causing the infant to start crying. With one final kiss and hug, the mare tearfully placed the babe on the top step of the orphanage, still keeping her forelegs around the babe, as if letting go was not an option. She then quickly turned and looked right into Sunset's direction, as she knew she'd been watching. When Sunset pulled back on impulse, she got in a full view of the mare's face. It was shrouded in the shadow of the hood. The mare was a unicorn of light coloration, her mane a shade of bright yellow with shocks of silver hanging her horn. It was the eyes that gave Sunset the biggest surprise. Near the exact same sight of Sunset's, and how readily coloration such was passed down from one generation to the next. Eye colors unusual as Sunset's, cyan was one of the most uncommon eye colors, could only have come from someone related. Another loud crack of thunder broke the silence, the baby crying even harder in return. Realizing she'd been staring at another, the mare shook her head before taking one last look at her child. She did a knock on the door, a few forceful raps, before she dashed off into the night, quickly melting into the shadows and the rain. The older Sunset, who was seeing where her oldest memories began, still instinctively wanted to chase after her birth mother, but was stopped when the door to the orphanage flew open, light pouring out into the alley. Dreamy Heart, as Sunset recalled the name of the orphanage's kind caregiver, immediately saw the crying babe and took her into the warm hug, resting on her haunches. There, comforted the mare, ignoring the pouring rain that soaked both her and the baby. Looking into full in her arms, the new mare said, "Oh, but you're bright in a spot of light in the streamy morning, almost like a golden sunset, you know that. But I wonder who left you here." She looked up and down the alley to see whoever abandoned the child was around. As Dreamy Heart told Sunset years later, she never knew how Sunset had ended up on those steps. Sunset could only watch, her emotions in chaos as Dreamy Heart took the new sleeping Billy into the building, closing the door behind her. In a matter of minutes, the earliest defining moment of Sunset's life had occurred. Until now, a pony came across the scene. It was no different than what Sunset found beforehand. Luna, started Sunset, and figuring out this was all a dream. Why are you showing me this? Do not be alarmed, young one. A pleasant voice that wasn't Luna. While I can read dreamscapes, I am not my daughter. Sunset was overcome by such a sudden shock. She didn't notice the surroundings fading into nothing, leaving only an endless, empty expanse in their wake. After all, nothing else mattered when Queen Faust now stood before her. In a exact nanosecond, Sunset recovered from her shock. She threw her face to the ground, bowing before the great Alicorn harder than she ever bowed before. Prostrating before Celestia, begging forgiveness, was almost like pushing herself through marble of the throne room. Sunset was willing to push herself to the center of the planet if need be this time around. No need to hurt yourself, Sunset, laughed the great matron, seeing the unicorns out of prank. Please rise. There is no need for such formality. Sunset blushed profusely as he got back upright. So, I had to ask, why are you here? As Sunset, worried that any words he said would offend Faust, it caused Sunset all kinds of problems and made Twilight's nightmares look tame in comparison. I'm certainly no pony special. Doesn't have a unicorn. You don't believe that, do you? Chastised Faust. Her voice tone was nothing less than amusement. My daughter, Celestia, saw something in you long ago. While the role you were meant to play eventually went to Twilight Sparkle, does that mean your story and importance to Equestria has ended? I don't understand. Sunset said while tilting her head. The green-white Alicorn briefly glanced off to the side. When Sunset followed her gaze, she caught a fleeting glimpse of the alleyway she stood in. Tell me, why didn't you pursue to marry this Saul? There was nothing stopping you from doing so. Sunset Silver couldn't deny there was a part of her that longed to have all the answers. It was in her nature. It was what led to all of her mistakes. Because whoever she was, she's nothing more than a piece of my past. And I've decided I'm not going to let it control me. Faust smiled. Oh, why is that? Sunset's answer came quicker than she suspected. Because I have my own family now. The woman who made me a part of that family is my mother, not the mare who birthed me. Then, would you say you are more human than pony now? Sunset opened her mouth, but no answer came easily. I don't know, she muttered. Twilight's family fully accepted me as one of their own, and I couldn't be more thankful, but I'll never be truly one of them. No more than I truly fit here in my own homeland. Sunset's ears drooped. Her whole posture sank as he looked down at Earth. Earth's Equestria? I don't belong in either one. You were never one to think of the glass as half empty, Sunset. Faust's words, Sunset looked up again at her infinitely wise and compassionate face. Try thinking about it another way. Brow creased, Sunset thought carefully about Faust's words. Why can't these moral alicorns ever get straight answers? Try thinking about it another way. There's only one other way to interpret our current crisis. Are you saying I belong in both worlds? Faust gave another warm smile. Your greatest accomplishments tied both worlds together. You could have done all the good you did in the human world without pony magic. It was what you learned as a human that allowed you to show your true colors here in Equestria. Then there's Sombra's mirror to consider. Faust moved closer to Sunset and leaned down to her. There's still more mysteries linking the worlds of ponies and humans together, and only a child of both worlds can unlock them. You're still destined for great things, Sunset Shimmer. You know, that's exactly the kind of thinking that got me in trouble years ago, Sunset said with a dry smile. Faust stood back, raised her full height again. True, but things are different now, aren't they? The image of the great Alicorn started to rapidly fade away, shrinking as she grew ever more distant. I have faith that when your destiny calls, you'll know what to do. Just like that, The empty expanse around Sunset Shimmer dissipated. Her eyes looked into the ceiling of her guest bedroom. Was that Faust really talking to me? Wondered Sunset, amazed if it truly had been the celestial matriarch. Faust had blasted her oblivion for all the times she said she would be greater than her. Sunset got up and watched for the final time as she could her. Today was, after all, her final day in Equestria. Tonight she would return to the human world, her home. However, she figured Equestria wasn't done yet when she came downstairs. "Oh, Miss Shimmer!" At the sound of voice, Sunset looked over at the entrance to the kitchen. She saw a blue middle-aged mare step out with a tray of freshly streaming pastries. "Mrs. Cake!" Sunset exclaimed, surprised to see the previously sick confectioner out about. "Feeling better?" "Much, thank you." Mrs. Cake answered as she set the tray down the counter, and putting the store of pastries in the display case. "Were you heading out?" "No, not yet. Do you need my help with something?" "No, but Derpy said she got a letter for you. Under strict orders to make sure she gives it to you directly." "Derpy?" wondered Sunset. "Delivering a letter to me?" The Derpy she knew back in the human world was insanely smart, a regular computer whiz who often drew comparisons to Gates or Jobs. Sunset had no idea who those humans were, outside of them being important. "Don't mind me asking," inquired Sunset. "Do you know why Derpy was sent to deliver the mail and not like a local mail service worker?" Mrs. King played the confusion. "Derpy's the one in charge of Ponyville's mail." Now Sunset was confused, pointing. "She's the mail carrier? Yes, to be more precise, she's the entire postal system for Ponyville." Before anything more could be said, a blonde Pegasus with great fur, and unspeakable out of alignment pupils came up to Sunset and Mrs. Cake. Laying a plate of crumbs down the counter. "That's as good as ever, Mrs. Cake," complimented Derpy with a smile. "Now, barely you start the day with Suki Card Muffin." She turned to Sunset, producing a small letter from her saddlebags. "I was told to get this to you directly," the Pegasus chirped. Thanks," replied Sunset, taken aback by how overwhelming Derpy was being. The human Derpy tended to be both snarky and cocky, most likely as a side effect for having been teased about her egotism. Sunset wondered if the human she knew was more like the Pegasus in private. "You're quite welcome." And to say goodbye, Derpy barely held a tune as she left to do her daily letter delivery. "Yeah, I thought I'd make you something special for breakfast," and Miss Cake. "I'm sure my husband and Pinky have been doing showing their appreciation for your help covering for me, so I feel obliged to do the same." "Yeah, sure, that would be great," said Sunset, figuring one more cup of coffee before going back home. It wouldn't be too bad. "Clap your hooves and do a little shake." Laughter of the two alicorns echoed through the cavernous halls of Carolot Castle. Beside him, a blue-maned white unicorn stallion gave a good-natured roll to his eyes. "You know, I used to think that was so annoying," Sighing said to his aunt-in-law. "Then again, I also didn't think I had a chance of asking Katie out or either." "Maybe it's just some kind of curse you have," replied Celestia, "where all the girls in your life eventually turn to alicorns." Shining chuckled. "Do you have any idea how my mom would react to Gret gaining wings? At her age?" "She'd probably master flying within a week. And they keep me giving tips on it," snarked Twilight. "Come now, Twilight," said Kids. "It took me years to learn how to fly. You're much more adept than I am. You were also born with wings. I had to magically sprout from my back. You say?" Listen, the Great Hall's doors opened as Princess Luna hurriedly made her way to the others. "Oh, my apologies. Discord turned the staircase into those moving atrocities again." "It's all right, Luna. But we have more important matters to discuss now." Celestia led her fellow royals to the meeting table, specifically set up for their use. "Cadence, Shining, I trust the letter I sent to you detailed the situation enough you understand the basics." "Well, I'm not sure how to feel about there being another mirror that connects this human world," admitted Shining, "especially if it's Sombra's hoofwork." "That's not a major problem," said Twilight. "The bigger issue is that the mirror itself has been open for over 1,000 years. That's a lot of time to have a portal between worlds unaccounted for." There's also the issue of the one who discovered the mirror in the first place. Celestia said, my old protege, Sunset Simmer. Wait, is this he the one who stole Twilight's crown? Asked Cadence, eyes narrowing. I take it you didn't incinerate that no-good mirror on sight, Auntie? Celestia gave a patient sigh. No, I didn't, Cadence. They'll let me handle that. The Princess of the Crystal Empire insisted, sending for her seat at the table as she meant to track Sunset down that instant. She should count herself lucky she didn't face me. I'd be more than happy to rectify that. Katie, moaned Twilight, I appreciate the sentiment, but you're not my babysitter anymore. Besides, she's not back to Cosmo's trouble. Then why did she come back? There's Sopra's mirror of all things. Yiga Zalcor sighed. Remember Raz's little incident back in Wilson Dove? Cadence, unable to come up with something to express their concerns about that, merely nodded. Twilight proceeded to give Cadence a brief summary of events of the past week, in relationship to the Wilson Dove incident. After the other princesses insisted that Sunset was on good terms with Equestria now, the Alicorn and Love reluctantly conceded. Okay, if Summer's really a friend now, what issue is there surrounding her? Cadence asked, sitting back down. Yesterday proved to be very illuminating. Not going into details, all of us who now know Sunset were treated to a replay of events from our previous life. Celestia explained before leaning forward, speaking in a quieter tone. What's concerning to me is later that night, Raspberry Barrel told me there was still more Sunset wasn't sharing. My gut tells me Sunset knows something about Sombra's mirror. You'll call hostile to the pasta, Luna said, leaning forward with a grin, except when it comes to cake. Celestia deemed to simply ignore the comment and press on, resulting in a pouting Night Princess. However, now that Sunset's loyalty to us has been reaffirmed, I feel comfortable with moving forward with my new plan for her, which we discussed previously. Celestia turned to look at Twilight. Has your research in Starscroll spellbook revealed anything more about Platinum's mirror? Actually, yes, answered Twilight, sewing the book in Questmore magic and flipping through the pages at a rate that made the other princesses' head spin. There are detailed ways to establish a lot of communications with Sunset between worlds if need be, as well as a way to undo the time restriction of Platinum's mirror itself. What? Interrupted Luna. We call it to remove the time lock on it. Twilight shrugged. It's a lengthy spell. It certainly would take weeks to fully apply, as the purpose of the time lock is to prevent abusing the mirror's powers. Yeah, that worked out so well, commented Katie. Twilight rolled her eyes and continued anyway. The point is, if Sunset needs to reach us or even return to Equestria, the terminus for Platinum's mirror is easier to access and more stable than Sombra's mirror. That's well and dandy, said Shining. If we got everything worked out, why do we all need to be here? Well, uncharacteristically, Celestia seemed to become extremely nervous. She doesn't know about what will be asked of her. That's not an answer to my question. Luna, however, sighed as he recognized her gone. Seti, you don't want to ask her, do you? Celestia shook her head. No. Despite all she had done in the past, Sunset doesn't owe me anything. Celestia's eyes focused on the table. The others saw something in her they'd never seen before, saying, the truth is, the betrayal that divided us goes both ways. Celestia, what do you mean? Twilight asked, leaning closer to her mentor. There's a reason her magic is so much weaker in the human world. A reason she never regained her full power when she returned to Equestria. Twilight gasped, and her eyes grew wide with understanding. You didn't. Celestia looked up from the table, her eyes betraying uncharacteristic vulnerability. If I would really ask this of Sunset Simmer, I'll need to set things right. I'll need to give back what I stole from her. When Sunset arrived to Sleep Apple Acres, she didn't know what to expect. The letter informed her to be at the farm as soon as possible, but didn't go into detail. It wasn't signed either, though strangely enough the writing looked vaguely similar to Applejack's. Human one anyway. Do signatures correspond too? Wondered the unicorn. Passing through the arcs, marking the entrance to the farm, she was relieved to see that, unlike last time, there were not 5 fillies trying to make some crazy, fantastical, multi-armed apple-picking machine that was ultimately nothing but a neutered IED. Howdy there, Sensei, came the voice of the Applejack. Sunset looked in the direction of the voice and found a blonde farm boy trying out the mirror. Hey, Applejack, greeted the unicorn. Were you the one who sent the letter? Yep. I know you gotta go back home at some point today, but I'm also sure you're wondering about something else everybody's probably rather mum about. Sunset nodded. Is that why you sent a note? Applejack gestured her head towards what looked like a rose garden in the distance. It'll be a long explanation, but as far as I'm concerned, you deserve to know the whole story. And Sunset followed Applejack. She had to wonder what a rose garden was doing on an apple orchard farm. One look from Applejack confirmed the farm boy knew what she was thinking. Not many ponies know that apples are in fact the same family of plants as roses. She said, as long as the apple family's been around, we tradition to use roses to decorate the family graveyard. The word frozen unicorns in tracks. Family graveyard? You mean whatever's going on? Applejack looked back for a brief moment with a melancholy look. Cassie sets it off guard. Yeah. Don't know if any pony told you, but my parents didn't exactly have the same strong look as their human versions. So the intern kept going, leaving Sunset no choice to follow. A few minutes silence later, the two ponies arrived at the most secret portion of the farm. It was breathtaking sight for Sunset, as the fenced-in plot of land was filled with roses far richer in color than any she'd seen on human earth. Within the roses were several tombstones, though two of them were slewed slightly higher than the others, made look like marble. Upon them were inscribed a few words, but they sent chills through Sunset's veins. Bright Mac. Loving father. Pear butter. Loving mother. I. Sunset tried to speak, but the words couldn't come out. Yeah, no legal I ask. Let me ask you a question, Sunset. Do the humans have myths about certain members of their own species that have the ability, or more like the curse, turning into wolves? You mean like werewolves? It was a nonsensical answer. Sunset knew. Twilight got into brainiac mode months back during Halloween and happened to mention the word werewolf. It was the fact that Old English origin, or prefix were, specifically referring to a human man. Many employees used the same terms, where humans in six was firstly impossible. Oh, they call them werewolves too? Applejack gave her a look, indicating she knew something Sunset did not. I hope they didn't actually exist in the human world. Because here in Equestria, lycanthropy ain't nothing but trouble!